Covid-19 has fallen on us quite like this mango that came crashing down in my compound last week. Just an hour before it happened, we had taken a group photo in front of this tree which is nearly 100 years old. In this fallen mango, I see a visual analogy of sorts of what to expect about various sectors in the post-Covid times. Life certainly will be vastly different for most of us when we emerge from these closeted days. We have only started navigating this crisis, and as we move forward, it will become progressively more difficult and complicated for governments and people, at least in the short term. Crushed under this massive trunk are the daily wage earners, in this case the buffalo grass here, and in real life millions and millions of people engaged in cities as contract workers, construction workers, factory laborers, cooks, masons, drivers, cleaners, all of them. Now they are all on a long march home. Entire families with women and children trekking miles and miles home. Visuals that are shaming us in front of the whole world, painting us as a society that has abdicated all responsibility to the have-nots. And remember, this happens just a few days after the nation announced a 1.7 trillion rupee package to protect these very same people. Their exodus shows their trust in the package reaching them at all. The buffalo grass here is hardy, made a beautiful green carpet, and was fodder for cattle. Looking at our brothers and sisters trekking home, it appears that they too were fodder for the upper classes of society. Sure, these poor people are going to trek back to Mumbai and Delhi and Hyderabad some months later, but like the buffalo grass here, they'll have to start from ground zero, from a scorched earth, to build their lives again. Look through the fallen foliage and you'll find the medium, small and micro enterprises, or in this case, some yams, tapioca and bananas. These food crops were a great support for the home kitchen budget, just like MSMEs are the mainstay of jobs in this country. When MSMEs restart production at some future date, the employer is not going to hire all employees at the start. Visualize a footwear MSME. When production starts, it's not going to be 100% capacity, and the employer will not call all employees back at the start, which means millions of MSME workers will have to provision for months, if not a full year or more, of unemployment. Some sectors like airline, travel, transportation and tourism are like this Luvica tree here, a local berry that used to attract hundreds of birds to my compound. They have their top lines taken off, so there's no bottom line to be talked about. When revenues drop to zero, we don't talk about profits. Sure, these sectors will come back to life, they will be revived. After all, we cannot have an economy without physical transportation of goods. But they'll take a year or more to shake off their debts. And in this context, if you're thinking about India's plans to disinvest in Air India, look at the Luvica tree again. It was already stressed owing to a harsh summer, and now it has its top line taken off. India's aviation sector alone is expected to have losses of $3.6 billion in this quarter. Some sectors may find survival itself difficult post-COVID, like the print media, which has been flattened like this Anjali tree here. In its glory days, print media served millions, just like this tree, which attracted numerous birds with its golden yellow fruit. But a 21-day disruption can even break the newspaper reading habit. The social media has always been a disruptor of the print media, and in these difficult times of the print media, social media is adding to the pain by spreading a canard that the coronavirus can piggyback on paper. Some sectors like banking and education will be singed like some of these trees around. For example, this egg fruit tree behind me has shed a few branches. Banks may decide to shed some branches, and schools and educational institutions may decide to have more online content and fewer teachers to shore up their own bottom lines. Corporate lifestyles are also likely to witness considerable change. There will be less of travel and more of video conferencing. Why even politicians will be questioned about the need to travel so widely and so frequently. After all, the SAARC summit and the G20 summit were held via video conferencing rather fruitfully. And why did we have to stop Parliament and assemblies when COVID struck? After all, a digital democracy is better than a disrupted Parliament. And what of those who come out of college this year? They ought to focus on their creative skills and life skills because a job-eating virus called coronavirus is prowling the world. In the US alone, 3.3 million are now registered for joblessness, so much so that 2 days ago, the website to register joblessness crashed in the US. For most of us, it is a fall off the cliff. We will need all our time in the quarantine to figure out how to navigate the world after COVID. After the massive crash of the economy, its remnants remain deeply cinched. Our challenge is to completely refigure it. I hope you enjoyed my mango analogy of the world after COVID. Thank you for watching.